Portal Games recently held their PortalCon 12, and Portal Games is a company we enjoy and love their games. Detective, Imperial Settlers, Robinson Crusoe is in your top 10.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, they had a lot to announce about all those titles in this convention. Jonathan, you actually watched the whole thing. What have we got coming in 2020?
Yeah, they live streamed it. It's on YouTube. You can go check it out. It's not super long if you're interested to hear the full details, but we'll go over it for you here, starting off with a bunch of new announcements for the Detective Modern Crime board game line. Now, this is the storytelling narrative co-op game where you're you don't tell the story, you experience the story,
right,
trying to solve clues and puzzles. We've got a few new announcements for it. First off, there's a little case called Dig Deeper. Now, this is the first of what was announced last year, which is a series of cases from other game designers that are just one-offs that you can play. I believe you'll still need the base game, but maybe not. I think maybe they will be standalone. You might need some of those tokens, though, to really get the full experience. I don't think they're going to come with it. This one is from designer Rob Davio of Pandemic Legacy, and Seafall, and a lot of restoration games projects, and Betrayal Legacy, like everything. You know who he is. It takes place in the 70s, and what's going to be interesting about this one is it's going to be pre-internet. So even the 80s expansion, you still had an online database.
Right.
This one does not. You're going to be looking through libraries, which takes longer.
Oh, so we're going to have a little index.
Probably. But it does have a technological aspect in that interrogations, they said, are upgraded. You're going to be able to, I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but in the old games, it would just be you would read the interrogation and you would learn from it.
Right.
Now you're supposedly going to be able to actually type in questions, and they're going to answer.
So there's going to be
like a text adventure.
Oh, man. Can I press X for doubt?
I hope so. I don't know how, that's ambitious. I don't know if it'll be you can ask about these 3 things.
Well, what's cool about this, it means these standalones could have really weird different mechanics. And I think that's a very exciting sign. So the designers might be able to really push the bounds of this game.
Yeah, not just a regular old thing. They can do all kinds of crazy stuff. And if you are a big fan of Detective, you might have played through the LA Crimes expansion. That's actually getting free DLC. That's right.
DLC?
DLC. It's called Under Radar, and it takes place after the end of the campaign from that expansion. Supposedly ties up some loose ends. It'll involve you going after kind of a big bad that may or may not have gotten away at the end of that case. To be honest, it's been a while since we played it. I don't fully remember that loose end. But the one other thing he said about it is that it's supposed to be really challenging. He said that most of the people who tried it lost. So this is going to be on the tougher end of things. You may have to play it a couple times to succeed.
Guess there's a reason why that guy got away.
Yeah. So that's cool if you want a challenge. Probably if you've played that far through the cases, then maybe you're looking for a challenge. And then they had one more announcement, which he saved for the end of the show. It was kind of like a big reveal, but we'll cover it now because it's detective related. This one is called Vienna Connection. Takes place during the Cold War. You're playing as CIA agents, and supposedly it's the same base as Detective, but it's called, the box is Vienna Connection, then underneath in smaller font, a detective game. So it strays a little bit. I'm not sure how much, but one thing we know is, for example, your characters will have more unique abilities. So when you look at a card, you won't just have to decide whether to follow up on the lead, you also have to decide which agent do you send on it, and maybe one will do better there than another. But I'm curious to find, it sounded like potentially a very much more different experience, but I'm not sure how much of a departure it's going to be.
It sounds more like in the previous games, while you had abilities, it's really just going together and trying to solve the mystery and puzzle, make your leaps of faith. This sounds a bit more like the teamwork aspect, okay, if we really want to send the soldier there, because we want that intimidating presence maybe or something. You're gonna have to think a bit more like that kind of thing. You have to play your character, I guess it'd be.
Yeah, I'm
just from the sound of it.
I'm wondering how it will complement the original. How different will it feel? It'll really be its own thing. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see for more info.
Spies and Wars come out a lot in this.
Yeah, that's a big theme. That seems to be a popular thing for them. Imperial Settlers, you also mentioned at the top of the show, and big announcements for across that line. First, the Roll and Write game that came out last year as a little spin-off. They announced an app version. So it's going to be a mobile game, or probably on tablets too, and you will be able to fully, it's not a companion, it's a complete digital version
Okay, that's
of
cool.
the game. Seems like a fun thing to like play on your phone in line or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think Tides of Time, they also did a digital version, but this is like only their second actual digital game. And also for that one, they're going to have new multiplayer maps for the physical game that you'll be able to print out. So I know, in the original, the solo mode had all these different variants, but the multiplayer, I think maybe it had 2 different variants to it, but it wasn't as much.
Any of these games like that, the roll and write genre, I think a lot of them really need alternate maps to just make gameplay a bit more varied.
Yeah. So that's cool. That you'll be able to just download those and print them out. Of course, they announced another new expansion for Empires of the North. This one is called Barbarian Hordes. It's going to be 2 new decks. They didn't really announce details, but they're still going strong with Empires of the North factions.
It did very well. It made our top 10 list. It made a lot of other people's top 10 lists. So
yeah, we liked it a lot. Now the big one for Imperial Settlers, they announced.
This is the one I want to hear about.
Yeah, Rise of the Empire, and this is a campaign game. It is an expansion, so it requires some of that base stuff. So Ignacy,
Of regular
Imperial Settlers. This is not Empires of the North. This is the base game. He was joking during the presentation that people who said, "Oh, I'm getting rid of the original, just playing Empires of the North," he's like, "Oh, you regret that now because now I got a new expansion."
Wow.
And this is a campaign game. It seems like there's something going on like in the air right now because we just talked about Oath on Kickstarter from Leader Games, and which was a legacy game in which you don't need to play with the same players. This is a campaign game in which you don't need to play with the same players. So you can swap in and out freely between who plays each game.
Well, I think part of the problem is they've probably heard enough people complain about campaigns or stories. Even D&D, the biggest joke is getting everyone's calendar to sync up.
Yeah, it's hard, and I like that designers are listening to that. Otherwise, they didn't show too much off. You'll be playing through, you'll be able to unlock new cards, new technologies.
I mean, that just sounds really cool. And also, I can't even think of there are Civilization games that take hours, but I can't think of one that's a campaign, so to speak. And that makes perfect sense for a Civilization game. 1, you don't have to sit at the table for 6 hours. And 2, I mean, most of the campaigns, usually you are playing as one character. To do a whole Civilization could be interesting. And it does make a lot more sense for different people to play because you have different rulers. Every now and then you get that one idiot ruler who just crashes your entire kingdom, hence why Rome is not still standing today.
It's not? Oh, that's news to me. I don't keep up with the trends. But so that's cool. That's ambitious. I'm very excited to see how that works, how it incorporates all those other sets. Didn't talk about the big box the storage box.
You're still waiting on that. You want that.
Hasn't talked about it. I don't know if that's still coming or not.
Well, maybe that's why, because they want it so you can fit the campaign in there too.
Maybe, yeah. He's like, wait, I still have more to do. There's not enough space. Moving on, there's another new expansion for Robinson Crusoe. Maybe not so much an expansion, it's a little bit different. This one's coming to Kickstarter, and it's called Robinson Crusoe Book of Adventures. This is a book. And what it is, though, not a book, not a novel, not a textbook.
It's pretty much, I'm guessing, a bunch of those, like the pages we have of the scenarios, but this time in a nice book.
Exactly. It's a book of scenarios. Supposedly it's going to have 50 or 60 brand new.
I believe some of them are like also some fan stuff.
Yeah, they're doing something where I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but they're letting people either vote on what types of themes they would like or some of their ideas that might make it into there.
I think you should submit one.
Yeah, okay.
I'll let you decide. It'd be clever, but maybe something weird that's meta so you're playing on a board game.
They got to have one of those in there. What else is cool about this one is that they're going to be sorted not just by theme, but by some of them will have recommended for smaller groups or shorter play times or harder.
I mean, it makes perfect sense in a game like that. You can really narrow. If you have 50 scenarios, you could be, this is our 3-player one. Really doesn't work outside of that.
Yeah.
Or this is your solo one. This is one if you really want to just feel miserable and hate each other.
Yeah, I was nervous when they announced this because I barely have now managed to fit everything into one box of Robinson Crusoe, and I was like, no, I can't fit anymore, but it's just a book.
A book is fine. I feel like that could also just go on
you can put that on a shelf.
Yeah.
So that's cool. A lot of replay.
If it has the old stuff, you take the old stuff out and then put that in, so it's some space.
Right, yeah. I hope they do include that just so it's complete.
Yeah, exactly, because then you don't have loose pages everywhere. Or else if you're missing one of those like 2 promo ones and stuff, that way it's a nice book.
So that's a
We
cool
like
one.
complete collections.
And then one other weird one that he alluded to, it's kind of an announcement of an announcement. Neuroshima, he gave a little bit of a history lesson on how, there was an RPG originally, then it became Neuroshima Hex, and it's had all these spin-off games. This year, he's calling, it's like this phase, this event called the Year of Moloch, which is one of the armies from Neuroshima. And he said there's going to be 5 new releases, but didn't specify, it sounds like there's going to be a mix of maybe new expansions for Hex, maybe a standalone, maybe some RPG content. What he did say, though, is that only 3 of those will be in English. So 2 of them, I think, might be Polish only. So those maybe are on more the role-playing side of things. I don't know, but that's all he said, really. So we're not sure what's happening with that.
That's definitely interesting, and I wonder... it could be in English, 3 in English and the other 2 not for now. If they sell really well, maybe we'll see what happens, obviously. It's one of those things. But that's definitely a cool idea. The Year of things can definitely help drum up some energy, I think, in those kinds of areas. Then again, it could end up like Year of Luigi when nothing happens.
What? The Year of Luigi was a momentous occasion in my life. It's still going on. So that's cool. What do you think? What overall from all these, what are you most excited
in
for?
general, Detective, I really love that series of more stories. They all sound really cool. Really curious how Ellie's going to wrap up. And what I think I know who they're talking about, but I don't want to say anything.
I also love the idea of of DLCs, of just a free bonus.
Well, it makes sense for a bunch of these. We did the print and play one of the Honey, and it worked fine.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
But that campaign sounds really cool for Imperial Settlers. I'm definitely curious to try out, and I almost want to now. Because, like I said, it makes sense with the cultures to be like, all right, we're going to play this. Play it when I'm not at a game night somehow. I'm curious to see how
what happens
it evolves.
later, yeah.
I guess that could go pair well with Oath, too.
Yeah, so every other week you take one out, maybe.
And the Robinson Crusoe, that's just, like I said, if they have the old ones in there, it's nice to just have the book. Because, Cthulhu Wars, when they've released their final one, they did the final, Omni rule book in the nice. I'm it's all there, every expansion, so I can just look it up. I don't have to go through 6 different books. It's sort of nice to just be able.
It is really nice when they do that. My other takeaway from this is maybe a little disappointing that they don't have any real brand new IPs. These are all expansions or new versions of things. I can't blame them because Imperial Settlers, the name is really strong now, as is of course Detective. So they want to capitalize on that.
I will say this: I think it's actually, if they do have something new in their pipeline, it's actually good to wait on it. Because I think this kind of thing, the PortalCon's a celebration of Portal, so let's celebrate, get people excited for things I know they're already going to be interested in. Then, when we approach Gen Con, all of a sudden, boom, new title. That probably works a lot better to be like, wait, what's this?
Yeah, we'll see if anything like that happens. But
did they say dates for any of these?
Most of these, I think, if not all of them, are going to be out this year, and some of them even before summer or by summer, probably Gen Con time, we'll be playing some of these. Probably the only exception is Robinson Crusoe, which is going to be a Kickstarter. So
right, of course.
Guessing that will, but it's only a book, so maybe that would turn around fast.
You never know with Kickstarters.
But yeah, I believe these are all supposed to be slated for release this year. Let us know in the comments down below which ones you're looking forward to. And I'd also like to hear from people, what Portal expansions do you think maybe they should make, or announcements that they didn't announce? I know, there was hasn't been any news on the First Martians front, or, maybe a new Tides of Time. I don't know. Other expansions for other games you'd like to see.
What are your thoughts on the Year of Moloch? Are you fine with only 3 being in English, or are you a little worried that you may have to find a translated version online?
Yeah, your Polish viewer out there, let us know what we're missing out on. Talk to us, and thanks for watching. We're excited. Stay tuned for all that Portal stuff in 2020, and to our channel for more info as those releases get closer. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
This has been Roll for Crit.
Catch the latest from Roll for Crit by liking and subscribing, and don't forget to support us on Patreon.
Don't get analysis paralysis. Just click those buttons. Help us out.